guys. I thought I'd try it this way. Hello. This is some books that Finley and I really like. They are called The Children of Noisy Village. And they are stories about children in Sweden. It's a group of children that all live together in kind of a neighborhood, which they call Noisy Village. So, it has a few pictures, not a whole lot of pictures. So here's, the first chapter is called Noisy Village. So here's the first picture. They're told by a girl named Lisa. So this says, "My name is Lisa, and I am a girl, and I've already told you. And I have two brothers who are both older than I am. Carl is 11 years old, and Bill is 10, and soon I'll be 10 myself, but so far I'm only 9. We live on a farm called Middle Farm because it is between two others, and the other two are called North Farm and South Farm. Anna and Britta live at North Farm, and they are girls too. Britta is 11, and Anna is just my age." So this is the 3 farms. There's Middle Farm and North Farm and South Farm. "A boy named Olaf lives at South Farm. Between his farm and ours is a large linden tree whose branches touch both the houses at the upstairs windows. And when the boys want to visit each other, they climb through the tree." Do you see the tree? See the tree, how they can climb on the branches? Isn't that fun? It's like having a tree house. "Because there are so many children around making noise all the time, everyone calls the 3 farms Noisy Village. They are in a row. The houses are in a row, like in the picture. My picture doesn't show our barn or the lake or the school, so you'll have to imagine what they look like. Sometimes we 3 girls play by ourselves without the boys, and sometimes the boys play without us, but usually we all play together because most games are more fun when there are 6 instead of only 3. That's true at school too, isn't it? Olaf has a little sister named Kirsten who is still too little to play with us. She is only a year and a half old, and I can remember when she was born. That is the first thing I want to tell you about." I don't think I've heard this story before. This is called Olaf Gets a Baby Sister. "Sometimes when I get tired of Carl and Bill and I think that it would be better not to have any brothers at all. They tease me when I play with my dolls, and sometimes they hit me, and they always say it is my turn to dry the dishes. One time Carl said to Mommy that he couldn't understand why anyone would have wanted to have a girl. It would have been better to have 9 boys so they could have enough for a soccer team. But Mommy said, I am so happy to have my little girl. I don't know what I'd do without her." So Carl didn't get anywhere with his idea. But sometimes it is nice to have brothers. When we have pillow fights at night, and when they come into my room and tell ghost stories, and when it's Christmas, and times like that. And once Bill stood up for me when a boy in school hit me because I pushed him by mistake. Bill said, "Don't ever do that again." "It wasn't her fault. She didn't see you. She doesn't have eyes in the back of the head," said Bill. I liked Bill then. So it really isn't too bad to have brothers, but of course it would be better to have sisters. "The main thing is not to be an only child," Olaf used to say. But before Kirsten was born, he was an only child. He didn't have any brothers or sisters. "Other people can have children, but in this house we only have 1. But then, over a year ago, a little sister came after all, and Olaf was so happy. The day she was born, he rushed in and said that we had to come and look at her right away, and so we did. "There she is, isn't she pretty?" Olaf said, and looked so proud. She wasn't very pretty. She was red and wrinkled and really looked awful. Never have I seen anyone so amazed as Carl was when he saw Olaf's baby sister. He stood there with his mouth and his eyes wide open, and he didn't say anything. Yes, she's very pretty, said Britta, and then we left. This is a picture of her. I think she looks pretty in the picture. Then Carl said, poor Olaf. Imagine having a sister like that. You can't say that Lisa is beautiful, but at least she looks like a real person. Imagine how embarrassed Olaf will be when she starts school. About a week went by, and we went back to South Farm, and every day Olaf told us how pretty his little sister was, and Carl always looked so funny. But when we were invited to South Farm, the dining room looked lovely. This is for her baptism. There were flowers everywhere because Olaf's sister had been born in the spring, and they were primroses and lilies of the valley and a jug of birch leaves. And the table was set, and Olaf was all dressed up, and so were we. And the minister stood in the dining room and waited, and all of a sudden the door opened, and Aunt Lisa came in carrying Olaf's little sister. How she had changed! She had large, dark blue eyes, and her face was all pink, and her mouth was just so pretty. She wore a beautiful long white christening dress. Carl looked just as amazed as when he had seen her the first time. Is this a different sister? He asked Olaf. A different one? What do you mean? Said Olaf. Is this a new baby? Carl said. What are you talking about? Said Olaf. Then Carl didn't say anything else. The minister christened Olaf's sister and named her Kirsten. Now I like her so much. She was the prettiest baby in the whole world, and Anna and Britta and I used to run over to South Farm almost every day to watch while Aunt Lisa took care of her. How she wiggled and kicked. Not Aunt Lisa, of course, but Kirsten. She looked so sweet. She wiggled most of all when she had her bath. So here she is having a bath in the wash tub. She loved to take a bath. Sometimes when she lay in her bassinet, she almost talked. She said, ba, 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 and Olaf thought she would soon be able to say anything she wanted to. And when Olaf went to the bassinet to look at Kirsten, she would smile as if she was so happy to see him. She didn't have any teeth, but she looked sweet when she smiled. Olaf's eyes sparkled when he looked at her. Skip was the dog, was a little jealous of Kirsten. He wanted Olaf to like him, of course, but Olaf petted Skip a lot and told him he was a good dog. And then Skip wasn't jealous anymore. Once Aunt Lisa let Anna and me take care of Kirsten. Olaf wasn't home, thank goodness, otherwise he would have wanted to take care of her himself. And this is how it happened. Kirsten was lying in the bassinet and started to cry like anything just as Aunt Lisa was about to take some loaves of bread out of the oven. She was wet and hungry and mad, Kirsten, of course, not Aunt Lisa. So Aunt Lisa said, do you think you girls could give her a bath? Of course we could, we said. And Aunt Anna brought out the bathtub and poured water into it, and Aunt Lisa came and tested the water with her elbow to see if it was too hot. And I lifted Kirsten out of her bassinet, and do you know? She stopped crying at once and started laughing instead. And when I held her close to me, she nibbled my cheek. It didn't hurt because she didn't have any teeth. But my face got all wet, but that didn't matter. Aunt Lisa had taught me how to hold babies. You should hold them so that their backs get support. I also know that you should hold them when you give them a bath so their head doesn't go under the water. So I held Kirsten while Anna washed her with the washcloth, and Kirsten wiggled and kicked and said, ba, 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 and then she tried to suck the washcloth. She is so cute I could eat her up, Anna said. Anna had put a blanket on the kitchen table and a bath towel to dry Kirsten with. And when I had finished bathing Kirsten, I put her on the blanket very carefully, and we wrapped her in the towel, and Anna and I helped each other dry her. Suddenly, Kirsten put her big toe in her mouth and started sucking it, but we had to take her toe away from her so we could get her dressed. Aunt Lisa helped us put on her diaper because that is harder, but we put her pants on all by ourselves. And when she was ready, Aunt Lisa fed her. And afterward, Aunt Lisa let Anna and me take Kirsten for a ride in the carriage. which a carriage is like a stroller. So this is one kind of baby carriage. We pretended that Anna was the daddy and I was the mommy and Kirsten was the baby. And it wasn't long before Kirsten went to sleep. We still pushed her round and round. It was so fun. And when Olaf came home, he rushed up and took away the carriage just as if he thought we were stealing her. But when he had pushed her for a little while, he let us hold the handle and help push. And we told Olaf that Kirsten had sucked her big toe, and Olaf laughed and said no one would believe how many tricks that child can get up to. Perhaps she will be in the circus when she grows up. And just then Kirsten woke up and looked at Olaf, and he tickled her under the chin and said, well, well, you little rascal, were you sucking your big toe? And then he laughed and looked around just as proud, as if the finest thing you could do in this whole wide world would to be able to suck your big toe. Isn't that funny? If you've known a baby, you know how they can suck their big toe. That is true. Okay, one more story. Let's see. This is called Boys Can't Keep a Secret. Do you think that's true? I don't know. This is the picture. Boys can't keep a secret. Every year when it is time to harvest the hay, that's in the summertime, Daddy says, this year I don't want any children up in the hayloft to trample the hay to pieces. But even though he always says this, no one thinks he believes it. So all day during the harvest, we ride in the hay wagon and jump on the hay in the loft. And this year Carl wanted to have a contest to see who could jump the highest. We climbed on the beams under the roof and jumped into the hay. It tickled my tummy. Carl had said that the one who won the contest would get a lollipop. He had bought it that day at the store. We jumped and climbed and jumped, but finally Carl had climbed as high as he could and leaped down on a tiny piece of hay. And he knocked the wind out of him. No one else wanted to jump that high anymore, so Carl stuck the prize in his own mouth and said, this is for me. One day, after Britta and Anna and I had taken a ride in the hay wagon with Kale, we found a wild strawberry patch behind a pile of stones in a field where we were getting hay. We had never seen so many strawberries. We decided that we should never, never, never tell the boys or anyone else about the strawberry patch. We picked strawberries and strung them on straws until we had 13 straws full. We gave Carl and Bill and Olaf each a couple, but when they wanted to know where we had gotten them, we said, we will never tell you. It is a secret. So there they are picking strawberries. And then for several days, Britta and Anna and I ran around looking for new strawberry patches and didn't bother to play in the hayloft. But the boys played there. We couldn't understand why they weren't tired of it. One day we said to the boys that we had now gotten 7 strawberry patches and we were never going to show them because it was a secret. And then Olaf said, ha ha, that isn't as good a secret as ours. What kind of secret do you have? Said Britta. Don't tell her, Carl, said Olaf. But Carl said, yes, I will too, and then the girls can hear that our secret is better than theirs. What is it then, we said. We have made 9 caves in the hay, Carl said. But we won't tell you where, said Bill. We will find them, we said, and we rushed up to the hayloft to look, and we looked all that day and the next, and we didn't find any caves. The boys thought they were so smart, and Carl said, you will never find them. In the first place, you can't find them without a map, and in the second place, you can't find the map. What kind of map is it, we asked. A map that we made, said Carl, but we have hidden it. And Britta and Anna and I started to look for the map instead of for the caves. We thought it must be hidden someplace at Middle Farm because Carl certainly would not have let them hide it anywhere else. We looked around in Carl and Bill's room for hours. We looked in their beds and in their drawers and in their closet and everywhere. Finally, we said to Carl, "You could at least tell us if it is a bird, beast, or fish, the way you do when we play 20 questions. And then Carl and Bill and Olaf started to laugh, and Carl said, "You may as well give up. You will never find it." So we didn't look anymore. But the next day, I was going to ask Olaf if I could borrow his book, The Arabian Nights, because it was raining and I wanted to stay indoors and read. And Carl and Bill were outside, and I went into their room, and I was going to climb through the linden tree into Olaf's window. A little bird had lived in the tree before, and there was a hole in the trunk where he had his nest. He didn't live there any longer, but when I climbed past the nest, I saw a string hanging down from it. What in the world would a bird use a string for? I pulled the string out, and a roll of paper was tied to the string. It was the map. I was so surprised I thought I would fall out of the tree, and I forgot all about the Arabian Nights and climbed back into Carl and Bill's room. I ran over to Britta and Anna's as fast as I could. I was in such a hurry I tripped and fell on the stairs and hurt my knee. Britta and Anna were so happy. We hurried to the hayloft with the map, and before long we had found all the caves. Through the hay, the boys had dug long tunnels, and they were all drawn on the map. When you creep through one of those tunnels, and it is dark and there's hay all around, you think, "What if I can't get out again?" But you always do get out. It was only in the tunnels that it was dark. In the caves it was light because they were next to a wall and the light came in through the cracks. They were big, fine caves, and we realized that the boys must have had an awful job making them. The tunnel to the last cave was so long we thought it would never end. So here they are, crawling through the hay tunnel. "I bet we have come into a labyrinth that will never end," said Britta. But just then I saw it started to get light in front of me, and there was the cave, and oh, there was Carl and Bill and Olaf. You should have seen how surprised they looked when I stuck my nose into the cave. So here are the boys. "How did you find your way?" said Carl. "We found your map, of course," I said. "That wasn't very hard." And for a moment Carl was mad, but then he thought a while and he said, "Okay, you can play too." And we played all day in the caves while it rained outside, and we had such a good time. But the next day Carl said, "Now that you know our secret, you have to tell us about your strawberry patches. It's only fair." "That's what you think," we said. "You will never find them by yourselves." But to make it easier, Britta and Anna and I put arrows made of sticks in the ground, and we put the arrows very far apart, so it still took the boys a long time to find the strawberry patches. We didn't put down any arrows to show the way to our very best patch. That's our secret, and we are never, never, never going to tell it to anyone. So here's a picture of what it looks like to put the strawberries on straws. Isn't that a good idea? I had never thought of that before. All right, and that is the end of chapter 3. We can read some more another day. I love you, and I miss you. See you next time.